a good place to live, good people, lots of space. Now, when the incident happened with the boy, a lot of press people came out here, you know, and one day some of them followed me down to the crime scene, and well, it was a beautiful day. The sky was just real gorgeous. You know, the sky was that blue that you'll never be able to paint. It's just sky blue. And the mountains, the little snow on them, you know, and that one reporter lady person who's out here, well, she said, who's out here anyway? Who found the boy? And I said, well, it's a really popular area for people to run, and mountain biking's, you know, really big out here. Horseback riding, it's just close to town. And she said, who in the hell would want to run out here? So I'm thinking, just lady, you're missing the point. You know, all you gotta do is turn around, smell the air, listen to the birds, just take in what's around you, you know? And they were just nothing but the story. And I didn't feel judged. I felt that they were stupid. But they're just missing the whole point. They're just missing the point.
I must tell you that when I first heard you were coming out here, when you first called me, I wanted to say you just punched me in the stomach. Like, why are you doing this to me? But then I thought, that's stupid. You're not doing this to me, and more importantly, I realized we've had so much negative closure on this whole thing. And the students really need to talk. They started talking once the incident happened, but when the media descended, all the dialogue stopped. You know, I really love my students. And you may not like what they have to say, and you may not like their opinions, because they can be very redneck, but they're free thinkers, and they're honest and they're truthful. So there's a dynamic here. There's a dynamic I never had with my students in North Dakota or the Midwest, because there was so much Puritanism that dictated how people looked at the world, that they never had an opinion. And quite honestly, I'd rather have opinions I don't like and have that dynamic in education. There's a student I think you should talk to. His name's JEDADIAH SCHULTZ.
I've lived in Wyoming my whole life. My family's been here for generations. Now, when it came time for me to go to college, my parents couldn't afford to send me to college. So I knew that if I was going to go to college, I was going to have to get on a scholarship. And so there's this competition each year, this Wyoming State High School competition. And I knew that if I got first place in duets, that I was going to get a scholarship. And so I went to the theater department at the university looking for good scenes. And I asked one of the professors there, I was like, I need a killer scene. And he was like, here you go, this is it. And it was from Angels in America. So I read it, and I knew that I could win best scene if I did a good enough job. And when the time came, I told my mom and dad so they would come see the competition. And you have to understand something. My parents go to everything, every ball game, every hockey game, everything I have ever done. And they brought me into their room and told me that if I did that scene, that they weren't going to come see me at the competition, because they believed that it was wrong, that homosexuality was wrong. They felt so strongly about it that they weren't going to see their son do probably the most important thing he'd done to that point in his life. And I didn't know what to do. I had never gone against my parents' wishes before, so I was kind of worried about it. But I did it. And looking back on the competition, all I can remember is that when we were done, me and my scene partner, we came together and we shook hands, and there was a standing ovation. Oh man, it was amazing. And we took first place and we won. And that's how come I can afford to be here at this university, because of that scene. It was one of the best moments of my life, and my parents weren't there for it. And to this day, that's the one thing my parents didn't see me do. And looking back on it, I think, why did I do it? Why did I disobey my parents? Because I'm not gay. So why did I do it? And I guess the only honest answer I can give you is that I wanted to win. It was such a good scene. Like, it was the best scene. Do you know Mr. Kushner? Maybe you can talk to him.
Well, on the 2nd of October, I get this call about 10 after 7. And it was Matthew Shepard. And he says, "Can you pick me up at the corner of 3rd and Grand?" So anyhow, I pull up to the corner and I see Matthew Shepard. It's this little guy, about 5'2". Soaking wet, I bet you 97 pounds tops. They say he weighed 110 in the newspapers, but I wouldn't believe it. They also say he was 5'5" in the newspapers. But this man was really only 5'2", maybe 5'1". So he walks up to the window. I'm going to try and take you through this step by step so that you can really understand the principle of this man. So he walks up to the window, and I'm like, "Are you Matthew Shepard?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm Matthew Shepard. But I don't want you to call me Matthew or Mr. Shepard. I want you to call me anything. My name is Matt, and I want you to know that I'm gay, and we're going to a gay bar. Do you have a problem with that?" And I say, "How are you paying?" The fact is, Laramie doesn't have any gay bars. For that matter, neither does Wyoming. So he was hiring me to take him down to Fort Collins, Colorado, about an hour away. Matthew was a blunt little shit. You know what I'm saying? He always was. But I liked him because he was straightforward. You see what I'm saying? Maybe gay, but straightforward. You see what I'm saying?
We never actually called him Matthew. We usually just called him Choo Choo, because we called him Machu, and then we just called him Choo Choo. Whenever I think of Matthew, I think of his incredible beaming smile. I mean, he'd just walk in and be like, he just made you feel great. And he would sit and stare at the people in the coffee shop. Because he always wanted the NC so he could talk to me while I was working. And if someone was sitting in that seat, he'd sit there and stare at them until they left. And he claimed his spot. But Matthew was really smart in political affairs. That was all his big interest was watching CNN or MSNBC. Well, that's the only TV station I ever saw his TV tuned into. He was really smart in political affairs, but not smart on like common sense things because, well, he moved to Laramie to go to school.
I've lived in Laramie since I was 4. Yeah, my parents are from Bangladesh. 2 years ago, because I'm Muslim, I decided to start wearing a scarf, and that's really changed my life here in Laramie. Yeah, people will say things to me like, "Why do you have to wear that thing on your head?" Like, when I go to the grocery store, I'm not looking to give people Islam 101, you know? So I'll be like, well, it's a part of my religion. and this is the worst part, because they'll be like, well, I know it's part of your religion, but why? And it's like, how am I supposed to go into the whole doctrine of physical modesty and my own spiritual relationship with the Lord standing there with my pop and chips, you know? Right. You know, it's so unreal to me that, yeah, that a group from New York would be writing a play about Laramie. And then I was picturing, like, you're going to be in a play about my town. You're going to be somewhere on stage in New York, and you're going to be acting like you're us. That's so weird.
So, what can I tell you about Matt? If you had 100 customers like him, it'd be the most perfect bar I've ever been in, okay? And nothing to do with sexual orientation. Absolute mannerisms. Manners, politeness, intelligence. Taking care of me, as in tips. Everything. Conversation. Dress nice. Clean cut. Some people, just sits down, please, thank you, offers intellect within their vocabulary. So he kicks it there. Didn't seem to have any worries or like he was looking for anyone. Just enjoy his drink and the company around. Now, approximately 11:45, 11:30, 11:45, Erin McKinney and Russell Henderson walk in. I didn't know their names then, but they're the accused. They're the perps. They're the accused. They walked in just very stone-faced, dirty, grungy, rude, gimme, that type of thing. They walked up to the bar and, as you know, paid for a pitcher with dimes and quarters, which is something, you don't forget. You don't forget that. $5.50 in dimes and quarters. That's a freaking nightmare. Now, Henderson and McKinney, they didn't seem intoxicated at all. They came in, they just ordered a beer, took the pitcher with them back into the pool room, and kept to themselves. Next thing I knew, probably about a half hour later, they were kind of walking around, no beer. And I remember saying to myself, I'm not going to ask them if they want another one, because obviously they just paid for a pitcher with dimes and quarters. I have a real good feeling they don't have any more money left.
Well, I took off on my bike about 5:00 p.m. on Wednesday from my dorm. I don't know, I just kind of felt like going for a ride. So I went up to the top of Cactus Canyon, which I'm not really familiar with that particular area. So on my way back down, I was just kind of picking my way back. Which now, it just makes me think, like that God wanted me to find him, because there was no way that I was going to go that way. I got stuck in this deep ass mud, and I wanted to turn back around, but for some reason I kept going. So I'm going along, and there's this rock on the ground, and I completely drilled it, and I went over the handlebars, and I ended up on the ground, and I got up, and I was just dusting myself off, and I was looking around, and I noticed something, which ended up to be Matt. And he was just lying there by the fence, and I just thought he was a scarecrow. Halloween was coming up. I thought it was a Halloween gag. I didn't think much of it. I just took my bicycle and walked around the fence that was there. But when I got closer, I noticed his hair. And that was a major key to me realizing that it was a human, was his hair. Because, you know, I just thought it was a dummy. And seriously, I noticed, I even noticed his chest moving up and down, and I just thought it was a dummy, you know? I just thought it was some kind of mechanism. I'm sorry. But when I noticed his hair, I knew that it was a human being. And I just ran. I just ran as fast as I could, and that's when I called the police.
It was so good to be with other people who felt like shit. I kept feeling like I don't deserve to feel this bad, you know? And someone got up there and he said, blah, 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 blah. And then he said, I'm saying this wrong, but basically he said, come on, guys, let's show the world that Laramie is not this kind of town. But it is this kind of town. If it wasn't this kind of town, then why did it happen here? You know what I mean? Like, that's a lie. Because it happened here, so how can it not be that kind of a town? It's like looking at an Escher painting and getting all confused. Like, that's just totally like circular logic. How can you even say that? And we have to mourn this. We have to be sad that we live in a town, a state, a country where shit like this happens. I mean, these are people trying to distance themselves from this crime. And we need to own it, I feel. Everyone needs to own it. We are like this. We are like this. We are like this.
I really haven't been all that involved per se. My husband's a highway patrolman, so that's really the only way that I've known about it. Now, when I first found out, I just thought it was horrible. I can't. Nobody deserves that. I don't care who you are. But the other thing that wasn't right happened at the same time that happened. That patrolman was killed. And there was nothing. They didn't say anything about the old man that killed him. He was driving on the road and he shouldn't have been driving, and he killed him. It was just a little piece in the paper, and we lost one of our guys. You know, my husband worked with him. This man was brand new on the force, but I mean, here's one of ours. And it was just a little piece in the paper. And a lot of it's my feeling that the media is portraying Matthew Shepard as a martyr, some sort of saint. And I don't think he was. I don't think he was that pure. Now, I didn't know him, but there's just so much I heard about him. It's scary. About his character and spreading AIDS and a few other things. You know, being the kind of person that he was just a barfly, you know? And I think he pushed himself around. I think he flaunted it. Everybody's got problems, but why they exemplified him, I don't know. It's not about if you're gay. A hate crime is a hate crime. If you murder somebody, you hate him. Doesn't matter if you're gay or a prostitute or whatever. I don't understand.